All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another YouTube video. In this one, I wanted to actually talk about sort of something that I've internalized that has allowed me to move forward much quicker than a lot of people in the space, and it's the fact that competition is for losers. Really, it's that competition doesn't exist, and that the word competition shouldn't even be in your vocabulary. It should be so far distant from your proverbial that it doesn't even affect your decision making on a day-to-day basis, right? And at first glance, that phrase, like competition is for losers, sounds arrogant, cocky, sounds like ignorant to the truth. It sounds like I'm just trying to avoid maybe some insecurities that I have or something. It might sound kind of crazy to you even. But the reality is, all that I'm saying is that, the more you try and model your competition, the further you get from actually what your market needs of you, okay? And how to actually be a better businessman, okay? So let's say you're already running an agency, or let's say you're a consultant of some kind, which I assume is most people who follow me, whether you sell a course or you're a coach or you run an agency. So I assume that's most of my following right now. And all you're doing is you're modeling exactly what your competition is doing. Then you're basically giving them free rein to guide you. And not only that, but you aren't building your own platform, because then if they change, you're forced to change as well, and it's just this weird mirroring act, okay? What you really want to do is you want to specialize in an industry, in a niche, and then come up with your own solutions to the problems that they face. And if your competitors happen to be solving them similarly to you, then so be it. There's nothing wrong with that. But you'll notice if you go to my Instagram, I follow one person, and the person I follow is my company, Cole Media. Besides that, I don't follow anybody. There's plenty of people who are doing similar work to me, and I don't follow them and I don't pay attention to them because they just do not affect my day-to-day life. And frankly, the more so there's this biblical idea of comparison is the thief of joy, right? If you compare to people, if you look at where they're at, you compare to where you are, maybe it's not even an insecurity or an ego thing. Maybe it's just they're doing something you want to be doing business-wise, and you then adopt that thing for yourself, right? That act alone is going to keep you from being able to be smart, tactical-wise in your industry, because it's going to force you basically to just look at what others are doing and model it. Now, there's some wisdom to that to some extent, but once you've begun to make money, once you're past a certain revenue mark, you have to begin to pioneer your own methods and test your own ideas against the market. So when I say competition is for losers, really what I'm saying is that the more focused you are on what your competition and what they're doing and modeling what they're doing, the further you get away from truth, the further you get away from actually solving problems for people and being a good consultant, being a good salesman, being a good business owner. Because there's so many people, really, in any industry, there are so many people doing similar things to you, and it's just draining. And not only is it draining, but also it can make you insecure about your own decisions. It can force you to question your own ideas and motive, and it can make you feel less qualified under the weight of maybe their qualifications. And maybe it's not even a personal thing, like I said earlier. Maybe it's purely a business thing. If they're doing this, you're going to do that. But by doing that, you're giving them the power. And there's nothing wrong with somebody else succeeding more than you, but there's everything wrong with you not owning your own business. If you're focusing on your competitors, you are, simply enough, a branch off of your competition, and that's all it is, and you all share the same pie. And there's, again, nothing wrong with that, but if you stay there, then you all decide the fate of all of you, and you don't want to be there. The way you succeed, the way that you innovate, the way that you begin to create a business that is making others question what they're doing instead of running a business where you're always questioning what you're doing, is you look at your customer, or you look at what assets you're building that you could sell to them without even realizing it, and you look at your customer and you ask, what's their problem, and ultimately how do we solve it, right? And how do we create the best process for selling the problem and solving the problem that they've ever seen, right? And that's how you begin to sort of create a separation between you and your competition. And not only that, not just about you and your competition, really your only competition is yourself, okay? You need to internalize that there's no such thing as competition. You are your own competition. You and your relation to the people who buy your stuff, that's your competition. You're competing against your potential buyers' desire to not buy your stuff. That's your only competition, okay? And when you internalize that, then you begin to move very quickly. And that's what has allowed me to move very quickly, because at some point I was just sick of trying to model people and everything that they're doing and speak like them and be like, and it's just so stupid. It's just so short term. And that's also why, I encourage you to really not follow that many gurus or like educators. If you're going to follow educators, do one for a long time, take every lesson you can from them, implement it, and then move on to the next one. Do the same thing. Implement it, learn, implement, go. You got to be an action taker. You got to take what they're doing that you like, take it, put it into place, put it into work in your own business, in your own life, and then move on. Otherwise, you're just flooding your head with information that won't ultimately help you, and it's just going to make you wonder why you are where you are compared to where they are, whether they're better or worse off than you. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's not going to move you forward. The only thing you should be comparing to or contrasting yourself against is the state of your market as it is, which means the state of the people who are buying your stuff, and why they're not buying your stuff if they aren't, why they are if they are, and then being a scientist, reverse engineering what works versus what doesn't, and doubling down on what works. Your only competition is you, okay? So that's why I say competition is for losers. And let me talk about why I want to say this, because I think there's so many business owners, obviously. There's a lot of people in business, a lot of people selling stuff, okay? But you look at the people who innovate, you look at the people who dominate markets or create their own market even, okay? These are people who are acutely aware and in tune with the needs of people. And when you're aware of the needs of people, you're aware of their complaints, you're aware of their, false beliefs, you're aware of the problems they run into on a day-to-day basis, that's when you become a successful entrepreneur truly. Not just a branch off of your competition, but a successful entrepreneur truly, okay? And the people that I've seen to be the most successful, whether it's on a small level like a 6-figure earner or even like on a much larger like a multiple 7, maybe even 8-figure level, these are people who maybe start off modeling somebody else because it's a good way to start, but very quickly they look at their market for what it is at its core. What are the core problems we're solving here? What's the core reason why we exist? How do we tap that and remove all the noise between transmitting a solution to a problem or transmitting value to their need, whatever it may be, right? Or their desire. And how do we remove every piece of unnecessary, infrastructure, every piece of unnecessary marketing, so we just get straight to that very clean line between where they are now and where they'd like to be, whether it's on a small level like buying a toy, or it's on a larger level like investing in a $50,000 program for their business, or whatever it might be. It's all the same, right? And so I think it's a really important thing to internalize that, look, no matter where you're at as an entrepreneur, if you're comparing to your competition, you've already lost. You're already behind. You can probably look at their tactics and adopt their tactics. You can look at the way that they present themselves, adopt the way they present themselves. You can look at all, but you have to, at the end of the day, look at your business objectively and how it relates to two people, yourself and the people who are buying your stuff. Is your business what you want it to be? That's a really important question you have to ask yourself as an entrepreneur, because otherwise it gets really easy to just model what other people are doing and consider success to be arriving at a point that somebody else has arrived at. And then you're like, oh, sweet, I succeeded because I kind of look like them now, You have to ask, what do you want your business to be? That's a very important thing to ask. And then the next thing, you got to ask, what do my customers or my clients need my business to be? And when you're building a business off of those two, polar ends, if you want to call it that, you kind of arrive at this like nirvana, this medium, which is beautifully perfect, and it allows you to not only run a business that you love to run, but a business that serves people well, that you can put your name behind and be proud of. And if you're focused on competition all the time, what they're doing, the different things that they're doing, why they're doing the different things they're doing, the way their website looks, the type of logo they have, even some people down like to the way that they dress and all kinds of stuff, you're missing the point entirely. You're missing the point entirely. And so that's why I actually encourage, frankly, it's why I massively encourage to invest in one-on-one time with these people, because you'll realize that there's nothing behind their curtain. And this is what I've done. I've invested probably over $40,000 now into coaches, courses, all this stuff. And most of the time, there's no real secret. It's just that they've applied really, really simple stuff really well. And that's the only difference. And, there's a lot of people in maybe even my market, like in the agency space or whatever it may be, who are quite a ways ahead of me. And I've met them, I've been in the room with them, or I've got coaching from them, and there's just no secret. They just have they are either better at sales than me, or they have a better team than me, or they have a better whatever, and It's as simple as, okay, cool, good for them. How do I continue to serve my market and the people that are buying my stuff? That's the only question you should be asking. If you're thinking, how do I beat this you're doing it wrong. If you're thinking, how do I overtake this, doing it wrong. Forget competition. They're irrelevant to you completely. And the further you distance yourself emotionally from the state of your competition, the better you're going to become as a business person, because it's going to force you to look at your market, because they're the only source of information you now have regarding what you should do in your business. Because if your source of information regarding the steps you should take, the actions you should take, are relative to the state of your competition, again, like I said, they're going to innovate, you're just going to copy, and they're going to control your business without you really even realizing that they control your business. You don't want that. You want your business to be yours. It's your business. So you must ignore your competition, get them out of sight, out of mind, completely emotionally distant from them, maybe checking in with them every once in a while, seeing what they're doing to get some inspiration, sure. But the only source of information regarding what you should do should come directly from your market. And my channel is primarily for agency owners, right? I see so many agency owners modeling other agency owners, and that's all they do all day. And then their questions become like really simple, stupid questions like tool talk, like, which one's better, like a 1% lookalike audience or a 2% lookalike audience for an e-commerce product that costs $200? I'm like, I don't know, figure it out, dude. Like, figure it out. Talk to your client, test, be a scientist. That's where these questions come from, because they're looking at other people's agencies and how they function, and they're just trying to like copy paste. And there's, again, some wisdom to that when you're starting, because you don't really know what to do yet. But the second you understand the tools you're using at a rudimentary level and how they apply to the solution to the problem you're solving, then you got to start to invest in your own creative mind. Figure out your own solutions to these problems, dude. And that's why with my coaching one-on-one, the most successful students I've had working with me one-on-one, like, they'll be asking a question, they'll be like, I already know how you're going to answer this, Trey. You're just going to say it's not a problem. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a problem. You just need to figure it out. Google it, dude. And the reason why I do that, and I don't try to be a source to all of their answers to their questions, is because then I free them. I free them from comparing to me or modeling me or thinking that I have the only way to do it. I don't have the only way to do it. I've just applied really simple principles and seen them work in my life and in my business. So even if you invest in my course, really, I just talk about, like, I give you the templates, I give you the funnels, I give you how to get results for clients, everything like that, sales, everything like that, mindset training even. We help you change your mind and the way you view the world and yourself and money and these sorts of important things. But I leave room for you to come up with your own solutions to certain problems. Because if I gave you everything, I'd be locking you into a corner. And so that's why competition is just irrelevant. If you even care about your competition, you've already lost, because you're forcing yourself into a corner where there's no room for innovation, there's no room for creative growth. You are literally, all you're doing, without realizing it, maybe subconsciously, you're just taking what they're doing, applying it to your business, and they are your boss. And you don't even realize it. You don't even realize that you have a boss. I don't care if you claim you're an entrepreneur. If all you're doing is modeling somebody else, they're your boss, okay? So you got to think about it like that. So really important video. Hope this was valuable for you. If it was, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, everything like that. Hop into the course. I've already plugged the course like 2 or 3 times in this video because I love it. Very proud of it. You should hop in. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.